Some legends don't wait to be found. They find you. I wasn't one for ghost stories. But Bell Witch Cave? That name kept popping up. Paranormal forums, YouTube rabbit holes, even some guy at a bar in Memphis told me, if you're gonna go anywhere to meet the devil's cousin, that's the place. So I went. No tourist brochure. No tour guide. Just me, a half-charged GoPro, and a curiosity that should have stayed buried. When I pulled up near the mouth of the cave, the air felt wrong. Not cold. Not heavy. Just wrong. Like it knew me. Like it had been waiting. I hadn't even stepped out of the car when I heard it, the soft whisper of my name. At first I froze. Thought it might have been the wind. But then it came again. Clear. Closer. Jason. No one knew I was here. I hadn't posted. No texts. No calls. I stared out the windshield toward the tree-line, heart thumping. Nothing moved. The birds weren't singing. No bugs. Just silence. When I finally got the courage to step out, my boots sank into damp ground. The cave sat maybe 50 yards away, more like a mouth than a tunnel. Black, gaping, waiting to swallow me. And just as I reached for my camera bag in the back seat, there it was again. Jason, don't. It came from behind me this time. I spun around. No one. But in my reflection on the car window, I saw something standing right behind me. Tall, pale, and grinning. She hated John Bell. But she doesn't care who she destroys now. I sat on a flat rock just outside the cave entrance, trying to catch my breath and calm my nerves. That whisper had rattled me more than I wanted to admit. I told myself it was stress, the isolation, maybe even audio hallucination. My therapist once told me that silence, true silence, messes with the brain, makes it invent sound to fill the void. But this wasn't imagined. I knew my name when I heard it. While my hands fumbled for my gear, I pulled out my notes. Clippings, local testimonies, articles, everything I'd gathered about the Bell Witch legend. It wasn't just spooky folklore. It was documented. In 1804, John Bell and his family moved to Adams, Tennessee. A few years later, strange things started happening. Scratching in the walls, gnawing sounds, chains being dragged across the floor. Then came the whispers. And the violence. Betsy Bell, John's daughter, was tormented. Slap. Her hair yanked violently. Left with red marks, welts, bruises. People witnessed it. Ministers. Neighbors. It wasn't hysteria. Something real was happening. Eventually, John Bell fell sick. Doctors were baffled. His tongue would swell, eyes roll back. He'd convulse for hours, foam at the mouth, scream at things no one else could see. Then one day he died. A vial of black liquid was found beside the bed. No one could explain what it was, only that whatever it was had killed him. The entity claimed responsibility. Locals started calling it the Bell Witch. The legend says the witch retreated into a cave near the property, where her voice still echoes, waiting for anyone foolish enough to enter. That's where I was now, sitting right in front of it. My phone buzzed, pulling me from my thoughts. No caller ID. Just a voicemail alert. I hit play thinking it was spam. But it was my own voice. Except I hadn't recorded anything. On the other end of the line, I heard myself whispering, "Don't go in." The audio cut. Silence. My blood ran cold. Then the phone vibrated again, another notification. I'd apparently recorded a short video. I hit play. It was me sitting right here. Same rock. Same background. But in the video, I was standing in front of the cave, smiling, and walking in. It's not the dark that gets you. It's what's in it. I stepped into the cave with my GoPro mounted, flashlight gripped tight like a weapon. The air shifted instantly. It wasn't just cold, it was wrong. Heavy, like I just walked into a vacuum where sound struggled to exist. My boots echoed off the damp stone as I moved deeper, the narrow walls hugging closer with every step. The first few minutes were uneventful, just rock, silence, and the occasional drip of water. But it didn't feel empty. You know that sensation when someone's behind you? Breathing softly, watching? That feeling started crawling over my skin. I turned around. Nothing. But when I swung the flashlight back forward, something in the corner of my eye moved. I spun toward it, just more rock. Focus, I told myself. The deeper I went, the more warped the cave became. The walls weren't smooth anymore. They bulged, twisted. At one point I could swear they were breathing, slight movements in and out like a lung exhaling stone. That's when the whispering returned. It was no longer distant. It was inside my ears, vibrating behind my eardrums. Low, breathy murmurs, too soft to understand but unmistakably real. I stopped and aimed my flashlight at the wall. That's when I saw it. A crude symbol scratched into the rock, 2 intersecting circles with a slash through the middle. It wasn't old. The grooves were clean, fresh. I reached out to touch it and my camera glitched. The screen jumped, distorted. Then, just for a single frame, I saw her. A woman, pale, long black hair soaked, green eyes wide, standing right behind me. I turned, heart slamming against my ribs. No one, only darkness. I yanked the camera down and checked the footage, frame by frame. There, in frame 1237. Then gone. I kept moving even though every nerve in my body told me to leave. The cave sloped downward suddenly, slick with wet stone, and I lost my footing. Fell hard, sliding on my back into a tight crevice. I landed hard, flashlight bouncing and clattering down another small tunnel. My hand throbbed. I'd torn the skin open. I crawled, bruised and panicking, toward the light of my flashlight. That's when I heard it. Soft crying. A child. I froze. The sound was coming from further in, beyond where my flashlight had landed. I picked it up, hand trembling. The crying continued, echoing. Not muffled like it should be in a cave, but sharp. Too clear. And worse, it sounded like it knew I was listening. It changed from crying to whimpering, then laughing. A high-pitched, mocking giggle. I wanted to run, but I crawled forward instead. Because that's what this place does. It doesn't scare you away. It lures you in. The witch doesn't knock. She claws her way in. The laughing stopped as suddenly as it started. I stayed frozen, kneeling in that narrow part of the cave, holding the flashlight like it was going to protect me from something older than fear itself. Every instinct I had was screaming, "Run! Get out!" But I didn't even know which direction out was anymore. The walls around me seemed closer than before, tighter, like the cave was breathing me in. That's when I heard the breathing, not mine, something slow, ragged, right beside my ear. I whipped the flashlight to the left, nothing. To the right, still nothing. I backed up against the stone wall, and that's when something yanked my backpack clean off my shoulders. Art. I spun and watched in disbelief as it slid into the darkness behind me, dragged by something unseen. It didn't bounce, didn't roll, just vanished like someone had snatched it by the straps and disappeared into the cave. I sprinted after it, sliding on jagged stone, scraping my palms and knees. When I finally found the pack, it was hanging from a sharp stalactite 5 feet off the ground, like someone placed it there. My chest burned. Blood ran from my knuckles. I reached up slowly and pulled it down, and then I saw it. 3 long, fresh scratches across my right arm. It bleeding. I hadn't felt anything, but they were there, pulsing hot and wet, like claws had slid under my skin and pulled. Suddenly, a scream. Not from the cave, from inside my head. A high-pitched shriek that split my skull in half, shaking my vision. I dropped the flashlight, doubled over, pressing my hands to my ears. It didn't help. The scream was in me. It faded into laughter again. A voice whispered behind my ear. "He begged too, just like you will." I snapped the flashlight back on, heart jackhammering, trying to find anything familiar. Nothing. The tunnel behind me wasn't the same one I'd come through. I turned around. That way was gone too. Every path looked unfamiliar now, like the cave was changing. I stumbled forward. Any direction felt better than standing still. I called out just to hear my voice. "Hello?" My voice bounced back. "Low. Low." Then something else. "Don't." It wasn't an echo. I froze. Then the mocking whisper again. "He cried for his mama." I pressed forward faster, every nerve shredded raw. A sudden slam echoed through the cave like a stone door closing. Dust rained from above. I ducked instinctively, staring into the dark as a gust of wind, from inside the cave, hit me in the face. It smelled rotten, like something dead had been here for a very, very long time. I looked down. My scratched arm was bleeding more, and in the blood, words had started forming. 3 letters. GL. I never gave them time to finish the rest. I ran, because I knew exactly what the 4th letter would be. She doesn't haunt. She consumes. I didn't stop running until I crashed into a narrow, low-ceiling chamber deep in the cave. The air here was heavier, thicker. Breathing felt like drinking wet ash. That's when I saw it. In the center of the space, barely illuminated by my flickering flashlight, sat a crude, half-rotted wooden altar. Its base was made from splintered boards nailed together unevenly, covered in a greasy black mold. And on top of it, like a cruel offering left behind, was a small porcelain doll. Its face had cracked down the middle, one eye missing, the other still staring. Something in me said, "Don't touch it," but my hand moved anyway. The moment I picked it up, everything changed. A violent surge of images slammed into my mind like a train with no brakes. A woman crying, kneeling in the mud, her dress torn. A man convulsing in bed, frothing at the mouth as unseen hands gripped his throat. A child, maybe 12, held down by invisible force, screaming until her voice cracked. A rope tightening, boots kicking. Silence. I stumbled backward, dropping the doll. It shattered on the floor, but there was no sound. Not even a clink. I turned to leave and felt the first drop of something hit my cheek. Warm. Sticky. I looked up. Blood. Dripping from the cracks in the cave ceiling. A slow, steady leak. And it wasn't old. It was fresh. I wiped it from my face, but it smeared like oil across my skin. Then, my arm. It jerked on its own. I didn't move it. My fingers clenched into a fist. Then my other hand started shaking, like something was inside it, crawling under the skin. "No," I whispered. "Stop." But my body didn't listen. My own hand reached up and slapped me across the face, hard. Then again. I tried to stop it, wrestle control, but I could barely move. My fingers wrapped around my own throat before I tore them away. And then I heard it. My own voice. But not my voice. Lower. Ragged. Twisted. "This is my house," it said. The flashlight flickered and died. Pitch black. I swung wildly in the dark, my breath coming in sobs now. My teeth clamped down on my tongue. I didn't do that. The taste of blood spread across my mouth. I felt her now, inside, like a sickness, a parasite. I clenched my fist and punched the rock wall. Once, twice. I kept going until the pain finally reminded me I was still in there, still me. Bones cracked in my hand. But I didn't stop. "Get out of me," I screamed. The echoes came back wrong. Not my words. Hers. "Let me in." My knees gave out. I collapsed next to the shattered doll. I couldn't cry, couldn't scream, could barely breathe. And in the silence that followed, I saw it, carved into the wall behind the altar. A single sentence, etched by fingernails or something sharper. "She lives in whoever breaks the silence." I didn't know what it meant, but I was terrified that I already had. It's not a cave. It's a tomb. I couldn't remember how long I'd been crawling through the cave, stumbling, falling, and getting up again. The deeper I went, the more the air thickened, suffocating, until every breath felt like a battle. My body ached, bruised from crawling over jagged rocks, but it wasn't just the physical exhaustion wearing me down. I wasn't escaping. The road stretched on forever, but I knew deep down that no matter how many times I tried, I would always end up at the cave. At her. In that darkness. I was trapped. And the worst part? I had never really left. "She won't kill you. She makes you do it to yourself." The words echoed in my skull, resonating with the same maddening cadence as the whispers that had chased me. Chloe's voice wasn't just inside my head, it was in my blood, pulsing through me like a disease. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't outrun it. And no matter how hard I tried, the bell which wasn't going to let me leave. I stood outside the cave, staring at the gaping darkness in front of me. There was no turning back now. If I wanted any semblance of peace, I had to end it, once and for all. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't the helpless victim. I was done. I gripped the machete in my hand, my knuckles white. The handle felt solid, comforting, but I knew it wouldn't be enough. It wasn't the weapon that I needed to fight. It was my mind. And at this point, that was already shattered beyond repair. The cave called to me. It was like it had been waiting, knowing that I'd come back. Knowing I'd have no choice but to come back. I entered the darkness again. This time there was no hesitation. I walked forward, the stale air sticking to my skin. The ground beneath me seemed to vibrate with some hidden pulse, as if the earth itself was alive, and it hated me. The cave's walls closed in, suffocating, until I felt like I was in a tomb. The air was thick, almost oily. My breath sounded too loud in the silence. Each footstep felt like it echoed into oblivion, swallowed by the cavern's hungry darkness. And then there was a sound. A soft, almost imperceptible scraping, followed by a low laugh that sent a shiver up my spine. Chloe's laugh. I swung the machete wildly, slicing through the air, but there was nothing there. Only the shadows and the whispers. "Come on," I muttered through clenched teeth. "Show yourself." The walls trembled. And there, in the blackness, a shape appeared. A dark figure, her face obscured by the swirling shadows. I could hear her breath, cold, ragged. It was more animal than human. My hands trembled as I raised the machete, gripping it tighter, my body tense and ready to strike. "You don't scare me," I hissed. And then she moved. Faster than I could react, she lunged. I felt the air shift, the hairs on my arms standing up in instinctive terror. I swung my machete just in time to deflect her claws, but the force of her attack sent me stumbling backward. My feet slipped on the slick cave floor and I crashed hard into the wall. Pain shot through my spine, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. She was there, right on top of me. Her claws raked down my chest, tearing through my shirt like it was paper. I gritted my teeth against the pain, and with all the strength I could muster, I shoved her away, rolling to the side. I gasped for air, my breath ragged. She's faster. She's stronger. I can't keep up. I swung the machete again, but this time she dodged. With a speed that made my head spin, she grabbed my wrist, twisting it painfully. The machete fell to the ground with a loud clatter. I screamed in rage, desperate. Her face, her twisted, mocking face, loomed over me. The smile wasn't just sickening. It was evil. "You think you can kill me?" she whispered, her voice dripping with malice. "I'm already inside you." I lunged at her, using every ounce of adrenaline in my body, landing a blow to her side. The force of it knocked her back, and I took the chance to scramble to my feet. My chest heaved, blood dripping from the gash she'd left across my ribs. I grabbed the machete again, struggling to steady my breath. "I'll make you pay," I hissed through gritted teeth. The cave seemed to close in on me. The air thickened. The walls began to feel like they were alive, pulsating with every beat of my heart. And then Chloe lunged again. I swung the machete with everything I had, a desperate cry leaving my lips. The blade connected with her, finally, cutting deep into her flesh. She shrieked, the sound vibrating through the cave like 1,000 nails scraping across stone. But she didn't stop. She kept coming. She wanted me to kill her. With one final agonizing scream, I drove the machete into the cave wall. The sound that followed was deafening, like the earth itself was tearing open. Her scream turned into a chorus, 1,000 voices howling in agony. The ground shook beneath me, the walls rattling violently, and I stumbled back, my legs giving out from the force. The cave was alive with her pain, her rage, and she was taking everything with her. I collapsed to the ground, gasping, blood dripping from my hands, my body slick with sweat and fear. The echo of her screams faded, and the ground beneath me finally stilled. But I knew it wasn't over. I'd stabbed the wall, but it wasn't the cave that screamed. It was her. And the voices didn't stop. They never stopped. I walked out again. But I wasn't alone. The hospital room was sterile, too bright. My skin felt too tight, my limbs too heavy. I couldn't remember how I got here, but the scent of disinfectant made my stomach churn. The steady beep of a heart monitor pierced the silence. My heart, a constant reminder that I was still alive, still trapped in this waking nightmare. I didn't want to open my eyes. Didn't want to face the reality that I had survived. I'd been in the cave for hours, days maybe, and I was certain I'd never make it out. The last thing I remembered was the overwhelming darkness, Chloe screaming, her claws slashing at me, the stench of rot filling the air. I woke up here. But I wasn't alone. I tried to sit up, the motion slow and painful. My entire body ached. It wasn't just from the fight, it was deeper than that. My bones felt as though they were made of stone, too heavy to move. But my mind screamed at me to get up, to escape. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and groaned as my feet hit the cold tile floor. The room spun for a moment, and I had to steady myself against the bedside table. The dim light from the overhead bulbs flickered, and for a split second I saw it. Her face, Chloe. She was standing in the corner of the room, her smile stretched impossibly wide, eyes dark and empty. My heart stopped and I froze, my breath caught in my throat. I blinked, hoping she'd disappear, hoping this was just some hallucination brought on by the trauma, but she was still there. Her presence was overwhelming, suffocating. It wasn't just her physical form. She was inside me. I could feel it, the weight of her anger, her hatred, wrapped around my soul like a vice. The door opened and a nurse walked in, her face concerned but still calm. "You're awake," she said softly, her eyes scanning me, making sure I was all right. I didn't speak. I couldn't speak. Not with her in the room. I could hear Chloe's voice, faint at first, like a whisper carried by the wind. "You thought you could escape," she purred, the words curling like smoke around my skull. "You can't run from me. I'm in you now." I turned toward the nurse, my hands trembling. She didn't see Chloe, didn't hear the whispers, but I did. I saw the way Chloe's smile stretched wider, as if feeding off my fear. I opened my mouth to scream, to warn the nurse, but no sound came out. I was frozen. The nurse tilted her head, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Are you okay?" she asked, stepping closer. "You're shaking. Do you need something for the pain?" I could barely concentrate on her words. All I could hear was Chloe's laughter in my head, louder now, more mocking. She was in me. Her voice, her presence, it was like she'd embedded herself into my very being. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. The nurse reached out, her hand brushing my arm. And then the world tilted again. Suddenly, I wasn't in the hospital anymore. I was back in the cave. The room disappeared, replaced by the suffocating darkness of the Bell Witch's domain. The walls closed in around me, pressing tight, the air thick and foul. I gasped for breath, the smell of decay filling my nostrils. Chloe's voice was everywhere, inside my skull, inside my soul. She was laughing. I screamed. The nurse's hand was gone and I was alone again, but not really. Not in the way I needed. Chloe was with me, always with me. Her whispers followed me everywhere. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. My body was moving, but it wasn't me controlling it. It was her. "You thought you could leave, didn't you?" Chloe whispered. Her voice wrapped around me, a vice on my throat, squeezing until I couldn't breathe. "This is my house. You're just a guest now. And guests don't leave." I felt my body jerk as if something was pulling the strings inside me. My arms flailed, my legs buckled. I was no longer in control. I could feel her like a virus taking over. She was inside me. And just like that, the hospital room came back into focus. The nurse was standing in front of me, eyes wide with concern, but her face seemed distant. I reached out, gripping the edge of the bed to steady myself, but my hands were shaking so violently I could barely hold on. I didn't want to ask, but I had to. "Where am I?" I whispered, my voice raw and cracked. The nurse's brow furrowed again, but this time, there was an edge of fear in her expression. "You're in the hospital, but..." Her words cut off as my gaze turned to the corner of the room. And there she was again, Chloe. Her figure stood there, looming, a twisted, grinning shape that wasn't quite human. Her eyes burned with an intensity that made my blood freeze. And this time, it wasn't just a figure in the corner of my vision. She was right there. Her smile stretched impossibly wide, as if it would tear her face apart. I tried to scream, to push her away, but no sound came. I could feel her inside me, her presence more solid now, like a weight pressing against my chest. I felt like I was suffocating, like her very essence was choking the life out of me. "She's in the mirrors now," I whispered hoarsely. Chloe's voice rippled through my mind. "And she's in you too." I turned to the nurse, her face pale, eyes wide. She didn't speak. Her eyes darted from me to the corner of the room and then back to me. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. I blinked, and she was gone. I was alone, just me and Chloe. And the sound of her whispering, always whispering, never stopping. I couldn't escape. I would never escape. The witch doesn't stay in the cave. I never thought I'd say it. I never thought I'd be the one to write these words. But here I am, the last journal entry I'll ever make, and I know it's too late for me. I thought the Bell Witch's power was confined to the cave, to the woods, to that cursed place. But she's not just there. She's here. In me. It's not enough for her to haunt a cave. She wants more. She wants all of me. And that's what she's getting. When I thought I was free, when I thought I escaped, I realized she never let me go. The cave was never really the end. It was just the beginning. Every time I blink, I'm there. Every time I close my eyes, I can feel her lurking in the corners of my mind, waiting to take over completely. I tried to warn you. I tried to stop it, to fight it. But you won't listen. You can't understand until you've felt it, until you've been inside that cave, smelled the rot, heard the whispers, felt the claws tearing at your soul. But you won't make it out. Not unless you stop. Not unless you leave now. But I'm already too far gone. I tried to get help. But every time I look in the mirror now, I see her there, with me. Behind my reflection, in my eyes, smiling that impossible smile, her face twisted and familiar. You see, she's never left. She's in me now. And she's waiting for you. I can't say her name anymore. I won't. Not even here in the dark corners of my journal. But I'll tell you this much. You're already too late. She's already in you. All it takes is one glance into the mirror. One whisper. One thought. And then you're hers. So don't say her name. Don't look into the mirror. And whatever you do, don't blink. Bell Witch,